Hello everybody, Dazmode here. I promise you that I will be finishing both of my builds before end of October, and I actually halfway through. Today I finished my revision 3 test bench that I'm going to use to water cooling experimentation. Revision 2 worked for us really well. I did a lot of tests on radiators. A lot of people found them interesting. We also test few fans that was at my disposal for the noise and performance ratings, and now we will be using revision 3 for some other things like flow rates, and we'll test number of CPU blocks and things like this. This overhaul was pretty big actually. While I didn't change a lot of things related to water cooling, I kept 2 D5 pumps powered through the controller, so I can change speed of the pump by changing voltage instead of using actual knob on a wire. And also it was showing me what my RPM ratings of the pump and things like this a little bit better. I also kept my flow meter the same as I used before, so you can see I use one pump right now, is 2.2 liters. So if I power up the second pump, and will speed up to about 3 liters per minute, 3.2 actually, because we have 2 less QDCs and we have 1 less GPU, so we see actually 3.4 even. So you see the flow rate increased dramatically because we have only 1 GPU block and we kicked out 2 QDCs, which add you quick disconnects, what it is, which adds some restriction to your loop. So now we increase a little bit. So I will switch off one pump. I use it only one for now. So speaking about electronics, that part changed a lot. One thing, I changed graphical card. I have to scrap Ruby build, which never worked for me because a lot of sponsorship contributions fell off, so it was really hard to me to undertake. Plus, I never really liked 295 setup because it requires too much power. And also card runs really hot. I already tested card, actually installed all software and everything, so the computer is fully ready to go. So all morning I was installing all these drivers and crap like this. So when I run Valley benchmark, I actually touched the backplate on this 295 card. I swear to God, I burned my damn fingers. So that's how hot it is. When I was touching NVIDIA card, it was barely warm. So you see that this card is really hot, but in terms of water cooling, I think it's a good idea because it's actually worst case scenario. If something will work with 295 setup, it definitely will work with anything else because everything else will be less extreme. So in terms of thermal testing, it's actually pretty good. So one card here. Second card I actually sold to a client in UK, and we use that money that we get to buy some additional components for the build number 2, the rendering machine that I didn't touch yet. I only built pedestal at this point. So another thing that you already know, I'm using a new Gigabyte motherboard that was sponsored by Gigabyte. This is a Skylake type of motherboard. So new CPU. I think also it's kind of relevant to keep hardware more or less at the current age. So all the Z87 motherboard became a little bit dated. So I feel that it will be nice to have something newer. So we have this card, not top of the line card, but it definitely will do the job. One thing I noticed also when I running computer, that the bridge is actually pretty hot. Not hot right now, but when I was stressing memory, I checked in memory and everything because I had memory not water cooled, but I actually pulled my own heat spreaders on them, and I want to make sure that everything works, no problems, so to speak. So the bridge was really hot. Now it's kind of okay because basically the computer does nothing. And other than that, I kept the same Intel SSD that I had, and one part that I changed, I also put a little bit more powerful. I had 850 watts power supply, and now I put 1200 power supply. That actually was not sponsored, but given to me at very low price by Snap. So I would like to thank him for giving me this deal. He bought this brand new Seasonic power supply and platinum, and he never used it and said that if you want it I sell you, and he gave me a really cool deal. So I have plenty power right now, better quality power supplies than I had before, so this is nice. Obviously new memory, because a new type of motherboard requires DDR4. I thought to use it for my Ruby build, but now I put it here because I'm going to get a Corsair Platinum for the rendering system, so I don't really need the DDR4 except of this. I'm not going to water cool it because it just complicates things. It's barely warm. When I run my stress test for memory was barely warm a little bit, so it's those heat sinks are just for the loops. Basically I borrowed them from the older Corsair memory, but heat spreaders are bits power that I actually supposed to use in water cooling configuration, but I use them as it is, and actually I really like it. I think that maybe in the future then I will going to build my own computer. I probably will continue to buy memory without any heat spreaders because it's cheaper, and will use EK or bits power heat spreaders on my own. It seems like thermal characteristics of my own assembly better than the stock. Also it looks like intrusive, you can play in them or do whatever, a lot of things that if you really want to mod it a little bit. So it's really cool things that I did. I definitely will reuse it. Another thing that I changed this time around, you remember the first build was really kind of slapped on together pretty quickly. I didn't bother about any cables. It was all power delivery was I just whatever I grabbed from the shelf, so it was all kind of different colors and stuff like this. In this situation I decided, because this system probably will be intact for hopefully about a year, I decided to spend a little bit time and make nicer cables. I did my own color combo for the motherboard power and for the CPU delivery. Basically how you do it, a lot of people asking me, can you do a custom combination for me or something like that, because in Dazmode store you sell only this like single color type of extensions, and we don't really have time to do that. But it's very simple to do. For example, this I use 3 colors here, so if I would be a customer that I would just buy combination of cables that one is graphite metallic, one is lava, and one is dark red. That's basically 3 colors I'm using, and let's say so just a mix of those cables, and then simply disassemble them and mix wires whatever way you want. I didn't do it in my case because I actually have a spare wire, so I just assemble it as I wanted. But what I'm saying, it's not that difficult. Just use a ATX removal tool and just assemble you want. So I did this combination for both motherboard power delivery, and I put it for GPUs as well, because you see this is kind of open type of concept case, and it's a little bit challenging to put wires nice away, so I use some combs to make them parallel. Another thing that I use a lot in this particular build, I use a Velcro. I find Velcro is actually much better than zip ties. Why? Because it's a wider material, and actually it hold and put cables in position much nicer way, and hold them more straight. So you see it's a little bit nicer look out, and I think that nice to work on a nice machine, basically, even if all you do is just testing. One thing that I hope, but it didn't happen, I knew that this Gigabyte motherboard has this LED tracer around the audio circuit board, and actually I hope that it's RBG as in a high-end versions of Gigabyte motherboard, but in this particular situation it's just yellow. When I try to use this management utility that I downloaded, all color options is just grayed out, so it's not disabled, because it's like it's entry level motherboard, so they saved a little bit. A lot of other models in this particular, like UD3 and stuff like this, UD5 I think, they have accent in yellow, so they did yellow. But when they did SLI, somebody decided, oh well, how about we do a red accent, but they didn't even thinking about changing LED color. Not big deal, but you know, this little details that actually people care and manufacturers not always follow, and I don't think it would be that much expensive to put a red LED instead of yellow, but actually it's still okay. It's actually more like orange and not yellow, but so it's still in line with towards the red color, so to speak, so I'm not complaining too much. One thing, I could also put some sticker or something, do something about Intel SSDs, but I decided to do nothing, and actually I probably will at some point probably sell it to somebody or whatever if it will not fail. You didn't want to touch that. Other than that, that's about it. One thing that I also did, I decided to mod a little bit of GT, Gentle Typhoon fans. What I did, let me put this panel back. I don't have a window because I want you to see through, so that's the reason why it's nothing here. So one thing I didn't like about GT, obviously not sleeved cable, but this factory will never ever do that. They don't give a damn about this, and they make fans that is actual industrial application, so it's impossible. But another thing that not all I like about GT, they have this impeller in the middle, is a magnet thingy, and it's just gray color, right? So when the blade was gray, it was kind of mixed together, it wasn't that noticeable, but when we switched to black blades, we start seeing this a little bit better. So I decided to try and mask it with adhesive vinyl tape, and so I did that. One thing I discovered I would like to share with you is that I read in the forums that a lot of people saying, oh, you just heat up impeller and then you can remove it easily. Well, it's not the whole story. That's what I'm trying to say. So I decided to follow that route, and so I heated up and it didn't go. So I wasn't wasn't sure there were things right, so I started hitting more, and finally I managed to do whole mold as I wanted. Not sure if it was worth it or not, but it was an interesting kind of experience. I'd like to point a couple mistakes that I personally did, and hopefully if you want to do it, you will not do that. First of all, yes, you need to heat up impeller a little bit, and that will come off easily, but a lot of people fail to mention that it's not happening right away. So you need to heat it up, and actually you need to wait maybe like good solid 2 or 3 minutes while the whole plastic heat go through and plastic softens. So if you just heat it with heat gun even for 30 seconds or whatever, it's still not enough time to soften plastic, so it will not move. So you need to actually let it sit a little bit and soften, then you can remove it. Nobody said that this pause is kind of important, and I had just discovered trying to work it through trial and error. I didn't break anything, but I just feel that I tried to push it out, doesn't move, and when I heat it up, it's burning my finger, but still doesn't move, right? So it was a little bit strange, but finally I figured out how to do that. Second thing is also when you heat it up, don't rush too much. It's the same true for heat shrink and everything, or sleevings, that you can burn sleeving. Actually you can burn fan as well. I burned small portion of it when I was a little bit impatient in the beginning. So keep your distance, don't heat it too much. You don't want to burn this bloody thing. Second, if you want to follow my route, and we'll put the sticker on it, it's not hard to cut it and put it on, but also they have some holes for ventilation for the motor. I'm not sure if it was the right thing to cut those holes on it or not, but I decided just to keep them open. So if it was put in place, it has to be a reason for that. What I'm trying to say is when you cut those little holes, actually the motor straight under this magnetic cover, so don't cut the wires. I didn't, but a couple times I actually poked straight into the wires of the motor, so I'm like, oh wow, I wonder if it will work after. So it was okay, but be careful when you cut those little holes. The last thing is that if you want to sleeve wires, how you need to measure it, take connector out, measure straight from the hub, go all the way through the wire, and cut just when metal pins is ending. So it's kind of longer than you think you need to, but when you put sleeving on, then it's contract and became shorter, and then it will be exactly perfect length. That I discovered because I sleeved by now a few hundred fans. I really don't want to do it anymore, but I figured out what's the perfect length. So if you do that, that's what you need to do. I also use two sizes for heat shrink. I use really small heat shrinks that put into the hub part of the fan, and I actually put heat shrink above the 8mm one above the connector. and I think it's better because some people put it right under connector, but then you still can kind of move heat shrink, and I don't like that. So I actually use a 3-to-1 heat shrink that grabs both connector and sleeving, and then it doesn't go anywhere. I also use a version with a glue. A lot of people don't like it, but I like it because it actually makes solid assembly, nothing ever moves. And even if I get a little bit glue coming out, you just wait until it dry up. It's very easily comes off. You just use your nails and just take it, clean it out, and see nothing. So I'm not quite understand a lot why people are so obsessed about it, because it's actually not an issue whatsoever. Well, other than that, that's pretty much it. So I wanted to show you system fully up and running. So you see it's all red and black color scheme right now. I also would like again to thank you Case Labs for providing this computer for me. They did a custom paint job in red. Probably this side is better for you to show. So they did this custom paint job. Unfortunately, it wasn't used for Ruby, but I tried to give it proper treatment with this particular update for Testbench. So it you know, has corresponding cables, and other motherboard even have accessories in correct color. So all these other parts, and RAM and controller, so everything has a little bit red here, and I think everything looks nicely, and I don't think that effort was wasted, although it's not in according to original plan, so to speak. Other than that, I have a fully functional computer. Hopefully I don't need to touch it in terms of hardware, and we will continue with water cooling builds or tests that I told you. Next one we'll check was about the flow rate. A lot of people saying that it's make no absolutely difference. Well, in certain ranges it doesn't, but at certain point actually it does make a difference. So I show you when and how it works, and if you have a few other tests that I'm also planning to do for you. Thank you very much guys for following my channel. I appreciate your support, and I will come back with more videos very shortly.